Radio check. There.
Hello and welcome to Radio Check. You there? I'm Meg,
I'm Chelsea.
and we're here to talk about all that went down at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Here we are at the last race before summer break, and a lot happened, so let's get started.
Now, Melly is not here, but we do have the paddock pulse for you guys. Cute name. If you're an Aston fan, you probably are now having a bit of a 10% better weekend than you've been having for the whole season. Unlike other teams that were doing like small doses of upgrades throughout the season, Aston decided to just wait and they pulled out a full upgrade this past race. They had new aerodynamic updates, a revised floor, new rear suspension, weight reductions. There was a few other things. They had a whole new chassis to work with. And Honda also confirmed that Aston will get a new power unit after the summer. So a lot of big things coming for them. I'm hoping it works out for them. We'll talk about it, but like during the race, I did see it kind of working more for Alonso
Definitely.
than I would say Lance, obviously, but it was working. So I'm really happy that they finally brought the upgrades because I feel like Alonso's been kind of eating it every weekend.
It's
Um,
it's been not fun to watch, and I can
yeah,
personally say, seeing it live, you just feel bad. Like, because everybody would come by, and then you'd wait for like 20, 30 seconds, and then you'd see the Astons. And then a couple seconds later, you'd see the Cadillacs come by, and it was just, it was honestly, like I said, you just feel bad for them at that point because it's like, oh, they're that
yeah,
far behind. But it was nice to see them finally at least get that inch closer, and instead of just fighting between themselves.
something, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, some of the other teams did bring upgrades. They just weren't as substantial. There was wing changes, upgraded floors, a few rear wings, some aerodynamics. Just not a complete overhaul like I would say Aston got. And even then, Aston still has more coming. I don't think they said they would be like happy with their performance for like another two races. So we'll see what else they're gonna keep doing. But I'm still surprised that they are where they are right now. I thought it would be so much better with Nui, but here we are.
I think we all did. I think we
Yeah,
all thought he was going to be their knight in shining armor. And then, I don't know what happened, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe this is the start of Adrian Newey, their whole B spec car. But I think a lot of it's
maybe.
Honda. I think a lot of it's Honda too. They're just.
No, yeah,
But we'll
I
see.
can agree.
We'll see. We'll see what happens after summer break and what everything brings. Although they aren't allowed to do any work over summer break, so
Right, but
we'll
my
literally
new
see at
mindset, you
Zandvoort.
know,
Exactly.
stick
Clean
to that.
slate. And now, for some other breaking news, Malaysia is back, but confusingly as the 2026 Bahrain Grand Prix, and it'll be held on the weekend of October 2nd through the 4th.
I don't
So,
know why they called it Bahrain.
like, they don't need to.
I is it just because they felt like they needed it, like in the calendar, like that
Probably.
name?
Like, maybe they. Like, how is it gonna work? Like, is it gonna be like everyone who got a ticket to Bahrain is gonna
Maybe.
get Malaysia? Or, like, can you buy a ticket to Malaysia? Like, I don't.
Is it bad that I just think Malaysia Grand Prix sounds better?
Is it no, I agree. Is it like it should just be in the calendar itself? Like there's
If
all
that's
these
where you're
tracks around
hosting
the
it,
world. And it hasn't been at Malaysia in a long time. So that's a whole nother thing. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Malaysia, especially since teams haven't been there in years, so it'll be a completely whole new territory, especially with these cars.
right? I don't know. I mean, I'm excited about the concept of a new like track race, whatever. The only dumb thing was really the name.
You know, I completely agree. Like, just let it be Malaysia and end a story.
But whatever. It'd be like that. Very fun. I know. But okay, so another thing I wanted to talk about was George and Mercedes. Just a little bit of an update. They're claiming to have fixed power struggle issues I guess they were having. That's what George has been apparently blaming his bad season on. It was like a bug in the system. We'll obviously see how right they were about that affecting George's race, but you're telling me you went this whole season without realizing there was a bug?
I don't buy it. I think they're just trying to, like, what's the word?
Save face.
Yeah, or like ease his troubles, or I don't know if that's the right saying, but you know what I mean? Like they're just trying to kind of like put a bow on it and say
Like
they're trying
close
to
it.
give an excuse. Yeah, they're trying to give an excuse as to why George has been performing the way he's been performing.
I mean, I guess because some blame would be going on to Mercedes, so they're trying to save face for themselves too. But it's also like Kimmy's been doing really well, so I guess the bug
I
was
don't
the
think it's the
most
car.
sense they can come up with. I mean, you
Yeah.
never know, I guess. But that was the update that they came in with for the weekend that they said on Thursday or something. So presidents, not really there. However, some things I did love to see. I really always look forward to like deliveries and helmets. Unfortunately, there was no liveries this weekend. I kind of get it, but with it being the last race, I did expect at least someone to do something. But whatever. Um, we did, however, see a beautiful helmet from Alex Albon. Special helmet. This was his 100th race with Williams, um, which is, I think, so bittersweet. Like, I love that. I also hate that there's a lot of rumors he might not be there soon. So it's also like, oh, how many more to go?
I know. It's like it's always a cool milestone though when like a driver reaches something like that with a team.
Right.
Because to me, it just shows like dedication, especially with a team like Williams. Like Alex hasn't given up on them in a
I
hundred
think
races.
Alex is to Williams what Lando is to McLaren.
Agreed. Agreed.
That's how
And
I
that
would
man,
perceive the relationship, at least.
he also never misses with a helmet. Alex, his helmets are
No.
always fire.
He always has great artwork. I wish we actually found out whether it was him doing this or the artist or if like Lily helps because I kind of want to know if he's the creative one sometimes. But what I always like about Alex's helmet specifically are the colors that he uses. They're always very like vibrant and sharp and so like easy to see. Which I like because I feel like some drivers can be a little neutral in their coloring, which isn't bad, but it's a little overlooked, I think, especially during the race.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
Lando, love his helmets. Super vibrant. You catch that guy anywhere.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, I love drivers that actually put effort into it.
Oh, well, speaking of someone that put effort into it, which this kind of surprised me because I don't hear about this very often, but Haas had a reserve driver driving this weekend, and he was wearing a special helmet.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing, but his name is Rio Haruwaka, and during his FP1 lap when all the other rookies were driving, he was wearing a helmet designed by his daughter that literally had her like hand drawings with crayons scanned onto I think what it was supposed to be like a wrap for the helmet. It was so adorable. But I was just
Oh,
surprised because I don't have memory of like reserve drivers coming out with special helmets, but I was like I like that he did that, especially for his daughter.
yeah,
Like
that's so
that's so
cute.
cute.
I feel like K-Mag did that. Maybe I'm crazy,
No, I
but
don't think you are. I think he
I
did.
feel like K-Mag did that at one point. But still, I love that. That's so
It was really
adorable.
good.
Because
And
you
then, I mean,
literally, no one else is gonna ever have a helmet like that. So,
it's a beautiful memory. Like, he got to show off her artwork. One day when she's like 16, she'll look this up on Google and be like, I was on F1 race. So I love that. I love very much so when family is brought into this, especially little youngins. But speaking of FP1, I feel like I've talked about this before, but I always feel like practice races very much set up how I imagine the rest of the race weekend is going to go. A lot of people are like, oh, practice doesn't matter. It does. You know, that's kind of like when you start seeing where cars are maybe already having issues or someone's struggling with like a turn or something. And what I noticed immediately was it was just a weird start for Ferraris. Like Lewis was having issues with the car early on in practice one. The car was shifting gears on him, like up and down, he said consistently. Like he didn't know what was happening. Charles had something break and he had to pull over to stop the car. I want to say it was his gearbox. I'm not really sure, so I don't want to lie. FP2 and FP3 went better, but I just, if you're struggling FP1, I kind of maybe think that just sometimes no, not even them really. It was the car for both of them. But like if the car's struggling at FP1, I always wonder like how much more wear and tear is it gonna take before either they fix it before the race weekend, which I don't remember them saying anything, or if they're just gonna kind of hope for the best, which I think they do more than they say.
Yeah, I think so
I don't
too.
know.
But at least it's always better to get everything worked out during the practice sessions than like during a race. Like I'd
I know
rather
Melissa
something
says the
go
same thing.
I'd rather something go wrong like during free practice 1 than at least like free practice 3 or quali or the race, you know. But
Yeah,
I feel like it's also weird practice too because that's where you get the sandbagging and that's where you get teams. Like I feel like Ferrari they
yeah.
always
I mean, they do sandbag like 100%.
Oh yeah, but I feel like Ferrari normally come out swinging. Like I feel like they don't normally sandbag. Like they just show their true
Really?
pace. Oh
I feel
yeah,
like we've
at least
caught them like red-handed sandbagging compared to other teams that are less obvious.
maybe like I feel like towards
They
the
just did it
beginning of
like
the
2 races
season,
ago.
I feel like I don't know. They all do it. They all do it. They never show
To an
their true
extent, they
colors.
definitely all do it. I
They
think
never show
Lewis
their
is just
true
kind of
colors
good at
until the last
sandbagging.
practice session. Oh yeah.
Like
Well, and then they
specifically
talk about
him.
it in the media too, and they're like, "Oh no, we're
Yeah.
not the fastest." Blah 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 blah.
No.
Mm-mm.
Well, I mean, speaking of fastest, like Aston, not the fastest, but was working better after the updates. I mean, Lance did spin out and boxed for the day for a suspension failure, but I wasn't really counting him. Aston was doing really well though. With I'm sorry, Aston like with Alonso was doing really well though. This guy
Yeah.
got to Q2. Like I'll talk about that later, but that's freaking crazy.
Going from being dead last with the Cadillacs to Q2.
Beautiful work.
Mm-hmm.
So they still have to get
Impressive.
used to it. I think specifically Lance. He did have suspension issues, but I think Alonso was much happier with the car.
And he's just Lance. That's the other thing.
Stop! I love Lance. It's a love hate relationship with his driving. Um, Speaking of love hate, Kimmy and Mercedes were having balance issues a lot. Like rear lockups were happening. Don't really know what that was about.
I think a lot of it was Hungary is like a dirty track. It's very dusty.
I did hear
So a
that a lot.
lot of them were having issues finding grip, and then the wind was changing constantly. So they were all just finding it very hard to drive around the track in general. And I know like certain teams have a harder issue finding or have a harder time with finding balance and grip at certain tracks than others, especially because in addition to the new cars this year, like I've mentioned before, the tires are also new this year, so they're also trying to learn the tires as well. So it's just like a big mess. But yeah, it's kind of confusing why it was so dirty because there were support races this weekend and there
Right.
have been races at the track before F1, so I don't know. And they
Maybe
like were
just the wind.
sweeping and cleaning. Who knows? But it caused problems.
I mean, a few people were having problems this weekend. Cadillac, too. When will it be their time? I don't know. But Sergio's car was smoking up and he lost the engine. So
Again,
it's definitely a way for them to start the weekend again. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really
I
upset
have
because
no words.
I wanted Cadillac to do better. Did anyone expect them to do well? Not really. But mm, I did not expect it to be where it is now, which is dead last
Yeah.
every single time.
Well, I would have thought by now they would have figured out like why their car catches on fire every weekend. Like I
Yeah.
would have thought at least that would have been
No.
solved. I don't know. I'm not an engineer or mechanic, so don't come for me, but I just would have thought the fact that this is happening every single race weekend, it
Right.
would have been resolved or at least better by now. So, what's going on?
I don't know. I think it's very like, as someone that really wanted to be a fan, I'm just like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't even know what to think. Like, what are you guys doing back there?
When it's like, do they have to reconsider their driver lineup? Like, is it
But is it the
Sergio
driver
and
or is it the car? Because this car keeps getting on fire, so I'm kind of gonna blame the car right now.
Well, no, it no doubt is the car. But
Or
do you
engine. I
think
don't know what
there's
engine they're
drivers
using.
Ferrari that they're using the Ferrari engine this year and then they're going to have their own engine next year. But what keeps catching on fire is their brakes. Yeah, that's what keeps catching fire. I'm pretty
So
sure.
you could blame that on the driver, maybe. No,
Well,
I'm kidding.
my thing is like, are they giving the right feedback? Like, don't get me wrong, Checo and Valtteri are very good drivers. But do you want, I don't know. I don't know. It's
I mean,
just,
I
do
get what
you
you're
want to,
saying. Like, or maybe they're just not right for the team. That could be true with anyone. They could be the
like,
best
do you,
driver and not good for the team, you know?
like, I feel like they should have at least brought in someone new and young. Like, still have a vet because you always want a vet, especially
Right.
in a new team. But, like, I feel like they could have given the opportunity to someone else, you know? Maybe someone who has a new eye for things or a new outlook or a new opinion. I don't know.
I think it's very hard to say. But
Very hard.
the good thing about practice is we had a lot of rookies come out this weekend. There was Leonardo for McLaren and Oscar's car, Fred for Mercedes and Kimi's car, Paul for Alpine and Franco's car, Rio, like I had mentioned it before, he was actually driving Ollie's car, and then Colton in Cadillac's car. Um, he survived, but Vesti, I think, definitely drove the cleanest out of the five of them because the other ones were having a lot of, like, I mean, you just said it, grip issues, but I think Vesti did the best of all of them when it came to like coming out of the white lines and everything.
But yeah, agreed. Plus, I think Fred
Interesting
just has more
practice.
experience.
Yeah. I think quali was much more interesting as always. I mean, Alex being out qualified by Carlos for the fifth time in a row. This just kind of goes back to what I was saying before with Mal last week. Like, I hate to see it because it fuels these rumors that Alex might be gone next year. But it's also like I don't know whether to blame the car. Maybe it is Alex because Carlos is out qualifying him. But we all know that Carlos is a little bit more of a conversationist with his car than most people.
And I think too, because I know the commentators were talking about it this weekend, like, it's also a matter of if James Vowles can deliver on his promise of getting Williams back to a place where he keeps
Mm.
telling Alex and Carlos he's going to get it to. So, if they can't get there, will not only Alex, but Carlos also jump ship, especially if they look at the Aston project and see, oh wow, this is going great, especially if Fernando is going to retire soon. That's a seat. And I know there's a rumor that Nico is going to be out at Audi. Esteban could be out at Haas. So
I
we
think
shall see.
specifically with ¿cómo se llama esto? With Williams. They podiumed last year 3 times with Carlos. So I don't think it's not that Williams can't do it. I think it's just they haven't grasped what they need to do this year as well as they did last year. And look how long it took them to do it last year anyways. It took a freaking unicorn, low key. So like
Sparkles.
it took Sparkles low key for almost any of that to really happen if we want to kind of if we want to talk about like what it was that really maybe brought it in. So I don't really know what to expect with what's going to happen with Williams because they have the capability. They technically have the drivers. Alex is a good driver, But it's like, what's missing? Is it James?
I don't know. I honestly don't even know what the answer is. Like, because I feel like you said they have two good drivers. It's just they need to deliver the car. So, do they just not have the right people? Like,
And like,
working higher up or in the factory?
no, and like you said, the Aston project. Alonso finally makes it to Q2. You're in Williams watching Aston, you're like, wait a minute. How'd you get there? Did it
Mm,
last long? No. He was at the bottom of Q2, but he still did it.
going from the bottom to Q2 in the span of a
Yeah,
week.
yeah. So, I don't know. Food for thought. Something to think
Let us
about.
know what you think.
I'm dead. Um, some other interesting things. I mean, quali, we had a yellow flag because Isaac, he spun out, just gravel and grass. Another one because Red Bull again, Q3 of Max spinning out. George had to park on the side of turn one, absolutely furious, had to end his quali. There was also like this small moment of collision from Lewis and Oscar with like a really nice sarcastic thumbs up from Oscar after he passes him, which was kind of warranted. But I feel like quali was very chaotic compared to other qualies we've had this season where it's been kind of boring.
Literally, like the last 3 to 5 minutes was just pure and utter chaos
Yeah,
of
there were
of everything you just said. Like, uh,
a lot of
mm.
surprises, really. That's what I would say.
Well, we had a McLaren on pole. Who would have
A
thought?
surprise.
Who would have thought Lando Norris would be on pole? I mean, you ask me, I'll back that man every week. But
Mac's like, I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised. I've been saying, give that man the car, he's gone. Like, pew, he's out of here. And look, he has the car, he has the upgrades, he's more comfortable with driving it, and knock
Mm-hmm.
on wood, doesn't have issues right now. He puts it on pole. So,
I see what you're saying.
are we back? Are we back? Do I have hope? Listen, I would have to. A lot of things would have to happen for him to retain that number one this year. And
Yeah,
am I fully optimistic about that? No, because we're gonna get into that with the race. But
right.
you take what you can get. You know, take what you can get. And then, like Chelsea mentioned, with all the chaos after quali, Lewis and Kimmy both received 3 place grid drop penalties for separate issues. Lewis was for that incident with Oscar for impeding, and Kimmy was for failing to slow during a yellow flag, which I find very interesting because, in my personal humble opinion, why was George not penalized in Austria? It's literally the same exact thing. George doesn't get a penalty and gets pole. Kimmy gets a penalty and loses 3 good places. I don't know.
I definitely think the biggest argument that we can always have on this podcast, and really any conversation you have with an F1 fan, is what the fuck are the FIA doing? And it's really just because they're so selective in how I feel sometimes they end up doing the scoring for penalties or whether penalties should even be distributed. And I mean, we could talk about that later on in the race because someone got a 5 second penalty and some people are arguing maybe he should have gone a 10 second penalty. I'll tell you who it is later. But all I can think is if you are going to allow us as fans to see your scoring, which technically if you're a fan, you can find how they score these penalizing points online. And you're not going to follow it yourself. It begs to question like how trustworthy are you as a panel to be deciding these penalties? Is there anything else that F1 can do for these penalties? Because the FIA is not FIAing as they should. And they
No,
never
you
really are.
like look at last weekend, for example, in Spa. How does Charles not get a penalty for what he did to Oscar? And Lewis does for a racing incident with George.
Okay, well, that's a whole other issue because I think the FIA. Are the FAA sometimes valid in penalizing Lewis? Probably, but I feel like compared to other drivers, like it is a very consistent and
This
almost
season
ludicrous amount.
especially.
Yeah, so it's I am not starting a rumor about like anything, but it's just very odd because you're right. They're giving you these examples like George in your face and Charles and blah blah, and then you're still doing the same exact thing to Lewis that they should have been penalized for. So it's just
It's
weird.
it's it's the same shit since 2021. Like it
Yeah.
just there's no consistency and it's just terrible and it affects things. But
I mean, we could talk about the inconsistency in the race because Mercedes kind of surprised me considering how they started the season.
bro. Well,
Right?
after the three place grid penalty drop, Kimmy was starting in 7th instead of
True.
4th. And I think George was starting in 6th, 5th or 6th,
Maybe.
one of those two. But he ended up at the back of the field after the start because he went into anti-stall. That man, nothing is going his way at all this season.
I feel like compared to Kimmy, he has not found like I don't know if the word is balance with the car or like symmetry, but he's not connecting with it, and I feel like the less he connects with it, the more he pushes the car instead of trying to figure out what's not balancing. And that's why we keep seeing him DNF these races or these qualies and things like that because he's pushing it so hard that the car like literally does what it does. It stalls, it locks, it suspension issues, whatever it is.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
think
so
he also
weird. Like he has horrible luck this season. There's like a bruja that touched him or something.
I think he also has to be open. I mean, maybe he is, I don't know, but
Maybe.
like I feel like he needs to be open to changing his driving style cuz maybe it's his driving style that needs to change and that he would suit better with the car if he changes a little bit of things. But
It is a different car.
we'll see. Maybe it'll be a different George after summer break. But Max, he's up to 3rd from the start. So, good start for him.
I mean, Max has said it before that he doesn't mind not starting at the front because it gives him more of like an adrenaline rush to actually compete for first. But I will say there was a slight touch with Lewis. I caught it. Like he was in because Max was like in a sandwich between the Ferraris and the McLarens, like right at the jump. And
Mhm.
there was this point where Max's like tire went like right kind of like in front of Lewis's or right next to it. Like he missed it by tenth of a margin. And I was just like, oh, let's not start this early. Um,
2021 flashbacks.
yeah, like I'm not trying to do that. But it was just crazy because he literally it was a sandwich. It was like a domino, like a five with Max right in the middle. And I was like, this is a rough race to overtake, let alone be like in this weird trio of cars not really in it. Like it was weird. I got scared for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, speaking of the overtaking, it's I forgot how hard it was to overtake at Hungary. Like I didn't think it would be as hard as it was. Granted, I know it's also harder to overtake this year with the cars because of the
Right.
yo-yoing and all that, but it just proved to be even more difficult for certain people.
For certain people. Um yeah. I do keep hearing like online and on Reddit and all these forums, everyone's like, this they also all forgot how hard it is to overtake. And I think for some reason we keep not associating with this track being hard to overtake until we watch it again every year. Um, but I do like that even though the overtaking is hard, the race is still fun to watch because all these teams still need to figure out like strategies that they can bypass this overtaking issue. And I'm not gonna lie, considering the overtaking was not plentiful this race, it was still super cool. Or I really actually liked watching this race compared to some of the other ones we've had this season.
Oh, agreed. Because I feel like there still were overtakes, but I feel like strategy played into this
Yeah.
race a lot more. I mean, we saw it with Lando and Oscar, right? Because
Yes.
Oscar got Lando at the start because Lando had to go on a dirty side of the track, so he lost grip, so Oscar was able to go around him. But Lando had way more pace in his car than Oscar. He just wasn't able to get close enough to overtake him because of the yo-yoing shit and the whatever. And you
Right.
know, McLaren and papaya rules and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so they had to do some things in the pit in order to, yeah, it was, we'll get into that in a second.
No, I mean, look, we'll get into it now. I mean, Lando wasn't lying. The second that he did pass Oscar later on in the race, he kept his pace up and was in front of him. I mean, granted, Oscar had two issues that I think definitely messed up his race. He's like, well, maybe one issue and then DNF at the end, but it just, I think what's really funny to think about is this race specifically for 3 years in a row has had papaya rules kind of pooled. Just this one that I could think of from the top of my head, like specifically 3 years in a row. There is always an issue between Lando and Oscar.
Yep.
Um,
And
I
the
don't know
team
what it
insists on getting
is.
involved.
Yeah, like I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if maybe it's because like this is such a hard race to overtake that they constantly just have this issue between one another. Um, but it's definitely like I think Oscar was definitely frustrated this whole race. Like until to the end of the race, he was kind of annoyed with everyone on the track.
Oh yeah. And
So I
I
don't know.
think, I don't know. I never like team orders. Like I don't like the team to get involved. Like
Right.
racing is racing, but you also have to think of it in the sense of, do you want the win for the team? Because Oscar was losing so much pace in
He
comparison to
was.
Lando, and that was allowing Max and Lewis and Kimmy to catch them. So at that point, you do have to think of it as, oh, do we want to win this race? I mean, and especially McLaren, they're nowhere right now, right?
Yeah,
They
they're
are,
not.
they need these points. So that's that. I
I
mean,
mean, it was the right call,
yeah, they put
if we're
themselves
being
in that
honest.
position. To be completely honest, they waited too long. Um, well, and I just didn't like the fact that when Lando was asking on the radio, they just were pretty much like, "We can't let you do that, mate," or something like that. And Lando was like, "I can't, or you won't let me do it."
Right.
So even the drivers know. Like, it's just, it's such a tricky situation because when you have two drivers like Lando and Oscar who both want to win and are both good drivers, like, it's tough. I did see online someone put it in the perspective of Lando, when he's racing, he focuses on everyone, whereas when Oscar races, he only focuses on Lando. And I was like, that kind of makes sense.
Well, wait, that's the same argument I have for George.
Yeah,
Kimmy races against everyone, George races against Kimmy.
it's the same thing. Like, you got to focus on the whole picture,
Yes,
and you
I
can't just
completely agree.
focus. I was like, because as soon as you get that tunnel vision, that's where things go wrong. And that's how Oscar was all of last season too. Lando was just trying
Mm-hmm.
to race, you know? Like,
Right.
of course, the one guy you always want to beat is your teammate, right?
To an extent. If it's not
But
like if it's gonna cost you your race,
no,
then you
exactly.
have to move on.
But in the grand scheme of things, they're not the most important person you need to beat. The most important person you need to beat is whoever's behind you, regardless of it's if it's your teammate or not. So
I agree.
I don't know. I could go on a whole tangent about this issue, and you know that. But mm,
But it's just because it's so like it's so funny seeing almost like the same dynamics in different teams between different drivers, but it's the same concept. There's always one driver who is focused on everything, and there's one driver who's focused on their partner, and that's always what messes up the other person. You can even go all the way back to Lewis and Mercedes. Lewis was ready to fight everything, and that didn't really go well for his friendship because the other one was more focused on Lewis. So it's really weird to see like how papaya rules goes into play every single time. because it's such a
especially
weird
here, like you
balance.
said.
It's such a weird balance.
Hmm. But yeah, and then on top of that battle, I did enjoy the close battles, especially between Lewis, Max, and Kimmy. I feel like
Hmm.
those three were where the majority of the action was at for the
Lewis
race.
is specifically, yeah.
Hmm. Like, and it was just nice to see like action happening, you know? Although the majority of it was like at the pit exit and turn
Right,
one,
right.
it was still something.
I mean, I would definitely say like the pit action, as you said, was probably like 20% of the entertainment for the whole race. The pit action alone, like okay, Lewis, because he had just pitted and gotten I think he had been on the hard tires, he was able to pass Arvid with like the cleanest pass, and I was just he just went completely around him, and I'm so sure that's what saved him to end up being ahead of Max as long as he was before Max was able to overtake him, because there's something. Well, I mean, they were having issues with the hard tires. I don't know if you noticed that with Ferrari. Like
Yeah, I did.
they were being weird. So I did think Lewis would have done better if they weren't having issues because he was able to pass much faster every time he got the tires. I mean, a little too fast one time he got a penalty, but but it did give him the speed, but there was something that like wasn't balancing right after like 5 laps of using it for whatever reason. I don't know. So I don't know. These new tires are kind of funky too with everything that they've changed.
100%. And I feel like it's the same case every year. Certain teams are better on tire wear than others, but
Right.
I feel like this year the tires are just so hit or miss depending on
They're
the
all
conditions.
handmade, and I wonder how much that affects it.
True. I don't know. I mean, some of it comes down to the driver too, tire wear as well, but I think the tires this year in general just are not what the drivers expected
Are
or
happy
wanted.
with. Yeah.
Exactly. Bro, speaking of things that drivers were not happy with, the blue flag system.
It wasn't working.
Can we talk about that? Like, the fact that drivers that were in the lead of the race were getting told they had blue flags.
Yeah, Kimmy got one.
Yeah, Lando got one too.
I don't. It also
Like,
just like the communication was weird with the blue flags.
but at that point, you gotta, like, the engineers have to be telling their drivers, like, you gotta get out of the way. Or just look in your rearview mirrors. Like,
I mean, I will say we saw an example of why they do the blue flags because Lewis almost hit someone, Antonelli, when he came out the pit, and there was something they were like, "See, if the blue flag was here, like this would have been avoided or something." One of the announcers said,
that was
but
that
what
was the
was it?
line at pit. That was different. That was the line at pit exit. Like it because it's whoever's there first technically gets to go in front,
Yeah,
and Kimmy was there before Lewis, but Lewis went ahead of Kimmy, so he had to give the position back.
so that's what it was. They were saying this is what the blue flag should have been used for at that
Oh,
moment
yeah.
because they penalized Lewis like 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane too, and it's also like, I mean, he gave the position back. I don't know. It was a weird 3 laps, 2 laps there while they were deciding what to do.
But even watching it, like I was like getting very frustrated with the back marker drivers because I'm like, you can clearly see there's a car behind you. Get out of the way.
And yeah, the announcer said the same thing.
Like
Like, you need to pay attention.
where their engineer should have been like, move over. Like there
Well,
were multiple. The one who
I
really annoyed me was Gabby, because he did it
really.
multiple times to multiple different drivers. He did get penalized though. He got 5 second penalties, but like there were multiple opportunities, especially on straights where you normally get out of the way for a blue flag. He just wasn't. I was like, what are you doing? Like
The one I noticed a lot of the drivers were getting upset with was Carlos. Like, specifically Carlos and Oscar. I was mouth dropped. My mouth dropped because Carlos is just like baby, get out of the way. I have heard so many people complain about him driving this weekend and just not like moving. Like, I don't know why. He was just middle and slow, and he was braking, and he was turning into Oscar. It was really off. I definitely think that Carlos turning into Oscar is what caused Oscar to lose so much pace behind Lando. I think it would have been a little less than what we finished the race with. I think Lando still would have beat him, but I just think it would have been a lot shorter with like um pace break. But I just Carlos was driving really dumb. And then Carlos used the excuse that he like didn't see the blue flag, or that he wasn't like informed about it. And Oscar went to a pre-interview and was like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen on the racetrack. Like, you see the blue, like you should be paying attention to the blue, like that's what they tell you. And I mean, Carlos did end up getting a 5-second penalty, but this is what I was seeing online, where some people think he should have gotten a 10-second penalty. But the excuse from the FIA was that Carlos wouldn't have been able to see Oscar coming in his side view mirrors. Like, the view was covered or something because of like the dirt and the air or whatever. Yeah, so that's why they didn't give him the full 10 points. They gave him 5. Like, that was the excuse the FIA used to not give him 10. I don't want Carlos to get 10. I like Carlos. But I also, again, this goes back to what we were saying before. Like, if you're going to do it this way, do it for everyone and do it right. Because now you have fans online that, again, can see your score, can see how you scored the penalties, and they're confused because I think Carlos could have seen him. I think he just didn't want to.
Well, not only that, but his engineer could have told him.
That too.
They do it for qualifying, or at least I know, like, as we know, I watch Lando's onboard, and Will Joseph is always in his ear. Like, if someone's on a push lap behind him, he'll be like, Verstappen, turn 2, Verstappen approaching, so Lando knows to get out of the way. Like, and to me, if the engineers knew the blue flag system wasn't working properly, they should have been more on top of, okay, hey, we might need to give our drivers a warning of just be on the lookout. You need to get out of the way. That's all.
I will say though, you saying that, I didn't hear anything about this, but I was curious and I just didn't search it up. Carlos did have radio issues during practice on Friday. Like, he wasn't getting any contact from the engineer because the cable had gotten loose and broken off. So the only thing I was wondering is if that happened during the race too, because Carlos said that he didn't know and no one told him. So that's the only thing I could think of. And then maybe, okay, I guess the 5-point would be allowed because he can't see the mirror and there's no engineer that's able to tell him anything because of the car. But it's also, I don't know, the penalties this race was a little weird because I thought Lewis was weird too, and I don't know.
Yeah, Lewis was over the speed limit by 0.1 seconds.
That's a little
or 0.1 miles per hour. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. It's like, it's weird how they decide to be a little more fair to others during the race. And then someone who did not have a fair race at the end of the day. I felt really bad about this. Oscar did have to retire after lap 56. I feel like that was definitely disappointing for him, especially because he was in second place. And like I said, he wasn't going to beat Lando, but at least he would have had the pace to be like second. So to bring out the yellow flag for the virtual safety car and lose his gearbox, that's what he yelled into the mic. Definitely not a way to go. Definitely not a way to go.
You never want to see a driver, however much you like or dislike them,
right.
You never want to see them go out with an issue like that. Because it just sucks, because there's nothing they can do.
And at the end, too. Like...
Exactly. Especially when, like, he realistically should have been on the podium for that race as well.
Right.
So, you hate to see it.
Yeah. And I mean, like I was saying before, Lewis did get a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so I looked at the replays. I don't know. Obviously, I should not be giving out penalties because I didn't see anything.
So, could you imagine Chelsea, the FIA director?
No, that looks about right. He's good.
Nah, he didn't hit him. He doesn't get a penalty.
I didn't see anything. Next.
Yeah. I didn't see anything.
But when my eyes are closed, I see you for what you truly are. Which is ugly. I'm kidding, sorry. Don't trademark me.
Copyright, 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 copyright.
Copyright. But I don't know. It was definitely a really good race, even with all the penalties. Literally.
Lando Norris wins the Hungarian Grand Prix by 15 seconds. He told the team he'd pull a 10-second gap, even on used tires, if he were in the lead. My guy said, nah, let me do more. So, I think is it the largest win margin of the season? Do we know?
Of the season, probably. I would say
Well,
of the season. I could agree with that.
So, like I said, is he back? Is he back?
We do have to remember Lando just kind of does good at this Grand Prix specifically, too, though.
True. True.
I know you're still going to put him on your top 3 for next race, but...
But yeah, definitely. Well, because he does normally do well at Zandvoort, too, so...
That's true. I will say...
You can never count that man out.
You can't. There's a few people you can't cut out starting to learn. But I will say, I love that I really didn't know who was going to win until like the last 15 laps. That was pretty nice. I like when that happens in a race. Keep me interested.
Yeah. I mean, once Lando got in the lead, you knew it was over.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do feel bad, like you said, for Kimmy, though. Like, could he have gone until the end? I mean, we'll never know. But I don't know. And then the fact that freaking Max ended up in second, that's crazy.
That was... I mean, my predictions weren't that far off. Let's just say that. Like, I was actually really happy to see that because I didn't expect it. I don't like Red Bull, but I like when surprising things happen.
No, you were the closest, I think. You had the...
Oh, okay, wait, shh.
Sorry.
We'll keep it.
No,
keep
but you weren't far off, though, girl. Like, I don't know. I have to say...
later.
I have to say, my mom was very happy because it's her 3 favorite drivers that were on the podium.
Oh.
So she was very, very happy. So, and
Yeah,
it's her
because it
favorite
was
drivers.
Lando P1, Max P2, and
Kimmy,
P3.
her 3 favorites.
That is your final top 3 for the race.
Yep.
Amazing.
I'd say a nice way to end the summer. Or not end the summer. Go into the summer.
Start the summer.
Start the summer.
And that is a wrap on the Hungarian Grand Prix. This was a very chaotic, more chaotic weekend than I expected. I will say that. If you guys want to talk about the chaos of the weekend, you can find us on socials. We are Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Threads. That's about it. It's 4. And you can find us at Radio Chucky there. We are always posting the little reels there so you guys know what episodes are coming out every Wednesday, Friday. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts below. I would like to argue with you guys in the comments about who you think is better. Okay? We read everything. I'll see y'all next episode. Bye.
Bye.